Hey guys, Jason from Modern Money Method here, and I wanted to reach out to you guys. I know I haven't made a video in a little while, and here we are back talking about the housing market again. And what I wanted to show you here, I got a couple topics I want to cover. I want to talk about valuation of houses, and the other thing, the impact of interest rates on housing right now. So, as a lot of you know, um, I refer to and use Zestimates in a lot of my videos, and it's not necessarily that I believe in them 100%. I just find them very interesting, and I know that it's a very easy um, item for homeowners, buyers, and sellers to use to think what their house is worth. So I have some screenshots here, and this is not 3 cherry-picked screenshots. If you actually search your neighborhood for houses that are currently for sale, so not ones that have sold in the last few months, because I noticed that Zillow is doing something interesting. Houses that have sold in the last few months, they're showing every one of those houses, 98%, as being worth, 1 to 3% above what the person paid, even if the person paid a crazy amount. And they're doing that to create a comfort level for the person. So you have to look at houses that are for sale and haven't sold, and then you see that unfortunately the seller has been lied to greatly. So this is, I have dozens of them. I'm only going to show you just a few of them, but they're all almost in the same range, showing that Zillow manipulates the values in relation to what your intentions are. If your intentions are to just sit in the house and own it for years and years and years, they can kind of analyze your lifestyle and realize that. And they're going to show you that it just has a small annual gain. But if they can tell that you are doing searches, you're reaching out to realtors, maybe contractors, they know you're going to sell the house. So they're going to do something like this. Like, look at this house here that was worth in the 200,000s for a few years. And then obviously the person must have showed some kind of interest in 2021 of doing something with the house. And and this is the April, May time range, which I just kept saying, these are unrealistic. I mean, you can't have every person in the world having a house payment that is, 50, 60, 70, 80% of their income. And so think this person here, this house, these are houses that are for sale. This house here showed that it was worth $450 in April, May. And now that it's on the market, Zillow is saying it's worth $275,001. So can you imagine what this seller listed the house for? I can tell you they listed the house for $275,000. So Zillow wants to say you're very right on. In fact, it's worth $1 more than what you're selling it for, which is significantly below. They are probably fixing it up, working on it in this range right here, thinking we're going to get 400, 450. Look at this, honey. Everything's going to be fantastic. Wait a second. What the frick is going on? So, and then we hop over here to another Z lie. That's what I'm going to call them now instead of Z estimates. Z lies. This is another home in my area. So this home sold back here around $280,000 in 2015, and had a slow climb. And then we got the last couple of years going on, and they actually said that this house was worth $525,000 a couple months ago, and now it's only worth $438, somewhere between $417 and $461. So this trend line that was going on, I kept talking about this, that we would come back to revisit the trend line. And if you notice, we're revisiting the trend line. Everything from right here is above the trend line. Let's see, we got a third one here. This is, this is a classic one. I mean, look at this stuff, and if you didn't see, anything past here, you were in panic mode. They had everybody in panic mode in February and March of 2022, thinking that houses would go to the moon. Somehow everyone could afford a payment that exceeded their income. So here we have another one. This one's got a very steady climb from 200,000 8-9 years ago. Nice steady climb. The thing hits, pops up, comes back down. This makes me think that something sold in the neighborhood for less, right? So they told this person in early 2021, your house is worth 450. Oh, wait a second, the neighbor's house sold for 400. We have to tell you it's worth 400. Nothing's for sale in your neighborhood. We'll tell you it's worth 500. Get excited, fix it up, spend $30,000-$40,000, prop up the economy by hiring contractors, buying stuff. Your house is worth $500,000. Trust us. Our name is Zillow. Zestimate, Zillow, whatever. And so now these people have put the house on the market, and I don't want to taint these people's sales, so that's why I'm not showing the addresses. So we have a $500,000 house 2 months ago, and now that it's on the market and not selling, Zillow's getting real with the seller and saying, your house is only worth $377,000. I don't know why you thought it was worth $500,000. I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm sorry that we forced you into spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 fixing it up. So look at these incredible drops from $500,000 to $377,000. What is that? $125,000. That's 25%. So just in a few months. So I wanted to share that with you. And one of the impacting factors on this is interest rates. And I don't think people are taking to heart how dramatic the interest rates have changed, how much of a problem this is going to create. So when interest rates are steady, over here they were in the mid fours, it's amazing. Houses only go up 3, 4, 5% a year because you're working on steady known knowledge. And, investors, whether it's houses, stocks, or whatever, are more inclined to invest in something that has a set parameters and has, predictable steadiness to it basically, right? Now, and then they created from 2019, they created this anticipation that rates would keep going lower. So people were willing to slightly overpay for houses in here, knowing that, hey, in 3 to 6, 12 months, you can refi at a lower rate. It's okay to overpay by $10,000, $20,000 now because you'll be able to lower your payment $200, $300, $400 a month in the future. And they created this scenario for a multitude of years, right? So obviously right here, we had a spike in interest rates. I mean, this looked like a huge spike going from 3.25 to 3.75. I mean, if you look at it, this is years. So it is not normal for interest rates to move by more than 1 full percentage point in a year. I want people to understand that. If you go back over the last 40, 50 years, I remember, so I've been in the mortgage business for a long period of time and investing, and you had a difficult time swallowing your pride to tell someone a month or two down the road while they're house shopping, the interest rates have moved by 1/4 of a point. And I know that just sounds almost silly now, that you're telling them, hey, I've got bad news. It's rates are no longer 6, they're 6.25, and you'd have a conversation with them about this. And that's a 1/4 point move, which affects your buying power because it affects their buying power, affects their payment by 3, 4% a month. Now, when you're up in the higher interest rates, a 1% move is a less percentage ratio. And what I mean by that is, let's just take, for example, if rates were to go from 10 to 11%, that is only a 10% move in interest rates. It's 1% is the move, but it's only a 10% change. When you get down in the 5% range and it moves 1% down to 4, well, that's a 20% change. You moved 1% from 5 to 4. When you get down to 3, and a lot of people got some loans in the mid and upper 2s, and you go up 1%. So let's ignore the 2s, even though a lot of people got them. Let's just say 3. So from 3 to 4, 1% move right there. That's a 33% change in your interest rate. Not fully reflected in your payment, but definitely 1% is much more impactful when interest rates are in the low range than when they're up in the 10% range. Well, we've had something dramatic happen from late 2021 of having rates under 3%. And I'm going to talk strictly about 30-year mortgages here because 90% of the people get that loan. So we had the first shock in when the Fed announced that they were going to start tightening and increasing the federal funds rate to 4. And that was a shock. So you had a 33% shock there from 3 to 4%. It paused for about a month, and quite a few people got in. This was before the house prices started increasing dramatically. So if you were in this range, you were getting 2021 house prices, January, February. It was March, April, May that people just started going crazy because some people were locked in at these rates. Some people paid for a 30-day lock and shop. Means you can lock in your rate, shop. So they were willing to pay, 5-10% more than the house was worth because they weren't going to be subject to future rates. Well, then we rallied all the way up to 5.5, and this was just where refinances got crushed. They are now down 83% year over year on refinances, and I don't think people realize how impactful that is. It is over half of the business, and a refinance, you're like, well, there's not a buyer and seller, there's not money changing hands, but there is, because one bank is being paid off and a new bank is generating a loan, and you still have appraisals, you have title, and you have escrow, and you have loan officers, you have all these parties involved that generate a lot of income to keep the business alive. And so half of the mortgage business since about right here has gone away by 80%. So if you're talking about if you had a business and half of it has gone away 80%, that means that share is now only 10%. So you've experienced a 40% reduction in your line of work. And we got some calming for a couple months there in April, May. And then we had a crazy spike up in June above 6. And then we had some euphoria right here. I had a number of buyers that locked in. This is the average rate for everyone. So if you're highly qualified, you're down here. If you have weaker issues, you're up here. So this is the average. Remember that. So it came from 6.25 down to, and this is a monthly chart. So we actually came down to 5%, and I actually got some people locked in. Amazingly, shout out to someone that is super awesome. Closing today, actually, now that I think about it. I was talking to him about rates at 6%, and just to shout out to everybody on that team. I was tracking rates. We got this gentleman locked in on a loan, and this is something. Hey guys, I have been in the investment field, the finance field, and in the interest rate field for over 30 years of my life. So this is something I'm really good at. We got him locked in at 4.5%. So we are closing a loan today, yes, at 4.5% on a 30-year fixed for a gentleman. And so if you're ever wanting fantastic rates, great loans, the access I have to wholesale lenders to do things that retail lenders can't do, reach out to me. So think about that. We're closing a loan in September with a 4.5% 30-year fixed rate, no mortgage insurance. Anyway, all right, shameless pump there for myself. But we are back above 6%. And why this is so important is, you got house prices here, and they've gone up 20-30% in the last couple of years, but you have interest rates up here that we are back at multi-year highs, and house prices have dramatically risen from here. So house payments are incredibly difficult. And I have one last thing to show you why this move right here. So this move was dramatic, and this caught a lot of lenders off guard. And it took lenders that were very cash rich to cash poor. It gave them a time to recoup right here for about 4 months. I want to show you why this dramatic move right here is extremely shocking to the industry, and things are about to get more difficult for everyone involved in the business and even home buyers. So I made a simple chart here, and I titled it Why Interest Rates Matter. And so at this point, if you guys are not interested in how business works, then we can move along. But I want to share to the insiders, realtors, mortgage people, why you need to be prepared with your business, be prepared with your mindset. And that is because, so 1 month ago, the beginning of August, interest rates on a lot of loans, FHA, VA, and 20% down conventional, we're at 5%. And people say, oh, they're at 4.75, 4.875, 5 and an eighth. I'm just taking averages, guys. I'm not going to nitpick the eighths of a percent. So what I want to show you is a $400,000 loan, and I'm choosing that because that's kind of roughly the average loan amount that we see now. That pays $20,000 a year at 5%. That pays $20,000 a year in interest, right? We're not going to get into monthly payments, P&I, and taxes and insurance. A person that's looking to invest in mortgages only cares about what does this thing spin off on an annual basis. So 5% of 400,000 is 20,000. Okay. Well, here's why this is important. So this was at the 1st of August that a $400,000 loan spun off 20,000 in interest. Well, now a loan that's being done now, a $400,000 loan, is throwing off 6% interest and 24,000 a year in annual interest. Okay, so right here you have same quality A borrower as this person here, same loan to value on the house, same debt ratio. Everything can be the same, but just because a month has passed, this person here is having to pay 24,000 a year in interest compared to this person 20, and you're like, okay, whatever. So you're viewing it as the borrower's perspective, the homeowner's perspective. Okay, I'm going to teach you how to view it from the investor's perspective, because the wholesale and retail lenders work in this world right here, right? So we're having to tell people the good news, bad news, interest rates are up or down. But you have to realize these loans, lenders are not sitting on, vaults of cash, millions and millions, billions and billions. They are working with a pile of cash. A lot of people don't know this. Even the big boys, they have a pile of cash, but they are expected to turn that over every 30 to 60 days. And what I mean by that is they make a loan, and then that loan, they sell it to a pension fund, a retirement fund, to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, U.S. Bank. These guys don't have the capacity to create all the loans they want. So they require, or not require, but they rely on lenders such as myself to make the loans, and then they let us know what they're going to pay for them, right? And they're not going to analyze every loan by itself. They are literally going to bring to the table a dollar amount, and let's say they're like, hey, we're bringing to the table, we need 2.4 million a year in interest income, for our investor A. Okay, whatever that investor is. And sometimes these investors are actually they're part of financial companies like Apple and Microsoft. These guys have cash. They don't just sit on the cash, in Bill Gates, bathroom. He doesn't just have it stacked in there and he counts it every night. They are putting it to use. So they want let's say that an investor wants 2.4 million a year in interest income. Okay. So, and they have 40 million to invest. So 40 million, that would require a 6%, which is where the market currently is. So they're like, hey, we're going to pay 40 million for 100 loans. Basically, they would buy 100 current loans at 6%. Okay. Well, these lenders made a bunch of loans just a month ago, right? So they did all the paperwork, they got the appraisals, they got the borrower's info. You don't sell them the next day. You collect all that info. It takes 30 to 60 days to put a loan together to sell. And so interest rates going up from 5% to 6% in the last month is monumental. And why is because we have a bunch of lenders, retail and wholesale, sitting on all these 5% loans. Well, this guy right here can demand 6%. So that means these loans that all these lenders made at 5%, if you want to get the same 2.4 million in interest income on 40 million, the 5% loans are therefore only worth 333,000 each. They're not worth 400,000 anymore. And why this is so huge, that means, well, the investor is going to require 130 of these loans compared to 100 of these loans to get his 2.4 million a year interest income. That means that a bunch of loans were made in late July, early August, right here, whether they were 200,000, 500,000, a million, let's just say 400,000 average. Those loans are no longer worth 400,000 on the market to sell because you can pick up a 6% loan. They're only worth this right here. They have dropped over 16% in value. So when you have these lenders that are making loans based off of, $1 billion lines of credit, $10 billion lines of credit, they are in a world of hurt because let's say they were super aggressive and everybody did a great job and they put, I'm just going to use this as an example. They put $40 billion out there in loans, and they had no idea they were doing people a favor at 5%, right? And now the market says, so this money was lent to them and has to be paid back in 30 to 60 days. That dollar amount is now only worth 33 billion. They just lost 6.7 billion on their whole portfolio. Some of these companies are only worth $1 billion or $2 billion. And I'll make a follow-up video, but the dominoes are starting to fall. Just like 2008, I've been in this business for quite a while, and you could see the cracks in the system in 2007. And early 2008, you could really see the cracks. This 2022 feels so much like 2007. I mean, I just totally feel like we're 6 to 12 months away from some serious problems. Because once you lose lenders, think about it. People are shell-shocked now to make these low interest rate loans, knowing that you run the risk on your portfolio. And this right here might be done by a company that only has a couple thousand employees. I know that seems unbelievable, but because they're lending to make, penny profits on a dollar. And that's the way the system works. So you're making penny profits, but then when things turn against you, you don't make pennies, you lose billions. And so, the difference right here of someone having a portfolio of $40 billion worth of loans and the street value now is only 33 billion, they got some problems. And they have bigger problems than trying to get the money. They're probably going to be told you're out of business. So the dominoes are going to start falling. We're going to see companies go out of business. We're going to see companies laying off, and we're going to see companies stop being so aggressive at the lower rates. which means people are going to start having higher rates. So, hey, thank you guys for coming in. Once again, this is Jason from Modern Money Method, and I appreciate you guys being part of my group and listening in. And here's a funny video of me. I like walking through my local Starbucks drive-through line when it's empty and seeing that there's no cars. I don't know how Starbucks is pulling their numbers off. The Starbucks I see, at times they're busy, but boy, they have a lot of times they're not busy anymore. So, hey, peace out to you guys. Reach out to me if you have any real estate or lending needs. I'm here for you. You can contact me via email or comment in the video. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by. And I hope you have a fantastic September.